Chapter 1 I took away the body of a vegetative person. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ming slowly opened his eyes, and a burst of dazzling sunlight hit him, making him a little uncomfortable. Done. Did you really succeed in seizing the body? Ming was pleasantly surprised when he suddenly saw in front of him a haggard, round-faced middle-aged woman less than a finger away from him. When he was about to hug him, he was startled and couldn't help it. Dodge asked, "Auntie, who are you?" "Baby, you can't even recognize me." Li Yufang, a middle-aged woman, had just seen her son Ming really wake up. She was so excited that she couldn't help but get closer to her son to take a look. How could she have imagined that her son had just woken up? She looked strange. When Li Yufang couldn't help but burst into tears, she was about to say, although the child woke up, he couldn't be stupid, or have sequelae from the car accident, right? Ming saw a young woman next to him and asked with a smile, "Then you are not my sister, are you?" "Master, how can I be blessed to be your sister? I am just a maid in your family, and this is your mother Li Yufang." When the maid Azu asked the young master if he was her sister, this made the maid Azu appeared very happy. Li Yufang did not expect that her son had been in a vegetative state for more than 3 years due to a car accident. Now he suddenly woke up and not only could he not recognize himself, but he could not even recognize the maid at home. His speech was also very different from before. This could not be because of his brain. Is something wrong, or are there serious sequelae? Thinking of this, Li Yufang couldn't help but shed tears. She took the maid Azu and hurriedly went out to find the attending doctor. "Doctor, doctor. Someone come quickly." That when Li Yufang and Azu went to see the attending physician, for a moment, Ming was flooded with memories, and his head felt like it had been stabbed hard. "There is an extra stream of information in my mind." It turned out that these messages came from the young people whose bodies he had taken away. This young man, also named Ming, returned from London during the Spring Festival of 1975. After a serious car accident on Hennessy Road, he became a vegetative state and has been receiving treatment at this private hospital on Hong Kong Island. It turns out that Ming's information is basically available, that is, the information after the car accident and medical treatment is basically blank. Ming was really dumbfounded now. Is it 1975 or 1976? Or which year specifically? It turns out that Ming came from 2022, more than 40 years later. He was an orphan and grew up in an orphanage. However, his life was very exciting. First, I graduated from a university in China and was engaged in import and export trade in a company in Pengcheng. It took me 3 years to reach the position of supervisor. After I got tired of this unit and left the company, I realized that it was the time when the computer internet was at its peak. In the age of fire, he spent a lot of money and energy to learn computer programming. He worked for Fortune 500 internet companies in Xiangjiang and Pengcheng. During this period, he secretly joined a hacker organization and became a leader in the hacker organization. Later, because of the internet company, he was sent to work in the African branch. There, he met another noble person in his life. After he left the internet company, he quickly joined this arms sales company. After working in this arms company for another 7 or 8 years, and becoming familiar with the operations of the arms business, he left the company to work alone. With a group of brothers he was looking for, he began to sell arms all over the world. Because it involves arms, it naturally involves smuggling and money laundering. He had to focus more on smuggling and money laundering. Basically, he was involved in smuggling business and money laundering all over the world. After a few more years of that, he began to get tired of this kind of rain of bullets and the days when he was often traced by Interpol. He decided to first hand over all the companies to a few of his confidants, secretly use another identity, and sneak back to Xiangjiang to study in a university and study his favorite history major. I lived a relaxed and carefree life on the university campus. I was soon admitted to the school's joint master's and doctoral program and became a postgraduate doctoral student in modern history. I spent several years focusing on this aspect. At that time, he collaborated with his mentor to compile the Chronicle of Science and Technology, and conducted particularly in-depth research on the development of global technology, especially Silicon Valley technology. During the rest of his postgraduate studies, He also deliberately spent time researching the world economic history in the past few decades and spending time writing the history of modern economic development. When he was over 45, his net worth had already exceeded $1 billion, and his wealth was stored in mysterious bank accounts in Europe, the United States and other countries. Yang Ming prepared to wash his hands in the gold basin and completely handed over the arms smuggling business and money laundering company to his confidants. He was planning to stay abroad to enjoy life, but a physical pain caused him to be quickly diagnosed in the hospital. Got an incurable disease. Moreover, this incurable disease only leaves half a year of life at most. Yang Ming was naturally unconvinced. His life in the past 20 years had indeed been exciting. However, he was only 45 years old now and still had so much wealth that he had not yet enjoyed. He was unwilling to leave this gorgeous place so quickly. World. When he spent a lot of money abroad and learned that European and American medical techniques could not cure it, he could only fly back to China with a lucky heart. Soon, after spending the same money to find many famous doctors in China, I found that they still couldn't cure it under the same medical conditions in China. A famous doctor received a lot of benefits from him and knew that his identity was not simple, so he recommended him to go to a famous mountain in China to find an enlightened person there. The Taoist master is not a famous doctor, so it is naturally impossible for him to treat Yang Ming. The Taoist master has a way to keep him alive. Originally, Master Didao didn't want to pay attention to Yang Ming and let nature take its course. Yang Ming treated others with courtesy. After many sincere visits, Master Didao finally proposed a solution to him: seize the house. The so-called body seizing means that the soul runs into the body of another person. As early as the spring and autumn period and the warring states period, there were books recording that after death, the soul of a person takes over the body of others and continues to live. This is a Taoist theory of reviving yang by borrowing the body of others. It is said that there is an immortal soul, or that the consciousness is not broken after death. The body is just a living proof of the spiritual body and residence. The so-called borrowing the corpse to revive the soul is strange, the Taoist master said at that time. Mr. Yang, the so-called seizing the body is actually similar to the theory of resurrecting the soul through the corpse. After being explained by the master of Didao, Yang Ming understood it this way. He felt that the human body is like a computer, which contains hardware and software. Hardware is the external manifestation of our bodies, organs, etc. Software is our spirit and soul, which can also be called will. It is a virtual thing. These two pieces together form a complete person. We all know that if there is no hard body, then there will be no place for the soft body. The hard body is a hard condition, which means that although the height of the soul is greater than the body, for ordinary people, the soul cannot survive alone without the body. The soul must be based on body to survive. At first, Yang Ming didn't quite believe what the master said. When Yang Ming witnessed with his own eyes what the master Didao did, a rooster that had been slaughtered and bled to the ground by the master Didao, and even had its head chopped off, actually survived for a long time, Yang Ming knew that he had an incurable disease that could not be cured by medical skills. So he had no choice but to become a living doctor, and he followed the instructions of the Taoist master. The Taoist master added, seizing someone else's body is not that simple. We are all living people. Normally, we can't do things like seizing other people's bodies. It is too sinister and goes against the law of heaven. Moreover, the success rate of seizing someone else's body is very low. Unless you are in a vegetative state, the vegetative soul will be greatly affected and very weak. If you take away the vegetative state, you can successfully recover with the help of the healthy body of the vegetative state. That I heard a Taoist master say that. Yang Ming completely believed what Master Didao said. According to Master Didao's approach, Yang Ming first spent a lot of money to quietly send people around the world to find a suitable body, that is, a vegetative state. Yang Ming felt that young people's bodies were of course the best. Moreover, he wanted to continue to be a man, but he did not want to become a woman. Naturally, he would be a young male vegetative state. It finally took him more than 3 months and a lot of money to find a suitable vegetative person in China. At this time, Yang Ming's condition became more and more serious. Under the guidance of a Taoist master, Yang Ming came to the local mountains and drove a car down the winding mountain road. I don't remember anything after that. I originally thought that my soul would appear in the young male vegetative body that I spent a lot of money to find in 2022. How could I have imagined it? Now it's actually the 70s, it seemed that he had succeeded in seizing the body of a young male in a vegetative state, but it was not from the same era at all. New work by a newcomer, please collect it. Please read it. Chapter 2 1978. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Yufang took the maid Azu to find the attending physician. When the attending physician learned that the patient Yang Ming had woken up, he hurriedly followed him. When the attending physician saw Yang Ming lying on the hospital bed, his eyes were still open, and his eyes seemed a little different from those of normal people. Dr. Qin, look at my son quickly. He can't even recognize me now. Is there something wrong with his brain, or is there any sequelae from the car accident? Mrs. Yang, don't worry, I will check young Master Yang right away. Dr. Qin checked Yang Ming's electrocardiogram and other medical equipment. Judging from the results displayed by these medical equipment, Yang Ming's heart rate, etc. were all normal. After all, Yang Ming had been lying in the hospital bed for more than 3 years. Even if the female nurse provided regular care, Yang Ming's muscles still atrophied to a certain extent. In other words, it would take a long time to fully recover. Mrs. Yang, after my careful inspection just now, young Master Yang has recovered very well. His heart rate, blood pressure, etc. are all normal. Because young Master Yang has not exercised for a long time, his muscles have atrophied to varying degrees. This requires exercise and nutrition during this period. And self-recovery to fully recover. Dr. Qin, why didn't he recognize me and my maid Azu just now? Li Yufang felt a little relieved, and then asked anxiously. Mrs. Yang, Mr. Yang's situation is very common among vegetative patients. For many vegetative patients, it is a miracle among miracles that they can wake up. If they wake up, they will temporarily experience memory loss, abnormal IQ, etc., are all very common. Lost memory. Abnormal IQ. Dr. Qin, what should we do? While Li Yufang was still worried, Yang Ming had already begun to accept this body, and naturally he accepted the mother in front of him. Yang Ming thought it was pretty good. In his previous life, he was an orphan, and he didn't even know who his biological parents were. Later, he became very rich. Thinking that he had been abandoned in an orphanage since he was a child, he naturally did not spend money to find his parents. Now, because of the car accident, the original Yang Ming doesn't know whether he can wake up normally in this life. He actually succeeded in seizing the other party's body, so naturally he completely replaced the other party. Mommy, I just woke up. I didn't recognize you for a while, but now I recognize you. Really? Peter? My precious son. Do you really remember? Peter was Yang Ming's English name when he studied abroad in London. When at home, Li Yufang directly called him by his English name. This time, Yang Ming naturally didn't behave like before. Mommy, I'm really fine. Yang Ming was afraid that his mother Li Yufang would think too much, so he hurriedly told the secret that only his family knew. This time, Li Yufang was completely relieved. Li Yufang hugged Yang Ming excitedly and said, "Thank you to my ancestors for blessing me, and thank you to God for my blessing. My son Peter finally woke up." These past 3 years, Li Yufang didn't know that in Xiangjiang, she even asked her friends in Nanyang to pray to God and worship Buddha, just in the hope that her son would wake up. Now, after more than 3 years, my son has finally woken up. Her son did not become stupid because of the car accident as she imagined, and even suffered serious sequelae. Li Yufang hugged her son excitedly and cried, and her tears quickly wet the white hospital gown Yang Ming was wearing. Mommy, am I fine now? Yang Ming said comfortingly. He truly felt his mother's deep maternal love. Okay, I'm going to call your dad and tell him you're awake. In this day and age, there are no cell phones yet. Li Yufang came to the office of the attending physician, Dr. Qin, where she called her husband Xiangjiang. And in the ward, after the attending doctor called a female nurse to check Yang Ming's physical condition again, Yang Ming looked at the maid Azu who was looking at him curiously. Azu has worked for the Yang family for several years. However, because Yang Ming attended high school and college in London, he was not familiar with the maid Azu. Miss Azu, Is there a mirror? From the information in his brain, Yang Ming roughly knows Yang Ming's current situation. What does he look like? He really doesn't know. Generally, women carry small mirrors with them, especially many women in Hong Kong, who can use them to apply makeup. Zhu is just a maid, nothing like this. I went to borrow a mirror from Azu. Master, mirror. Azu held the mirror in front of him, and Yang Ming began to look at himself carefully. He has standard facial features and a face that looks a little delicate, like that of a male star of this era. His face was a little pale, maybe because he rarely basked in the sun and stayed in bed for a long time. In addition, the eyes look a bit feminine. At this point, it is somewhat similar to his previous life. After Yang Ming read it carefully, he felt that he was quite satisfied with his current body. Although he took away the young men of the 1970s, none of the wealth of that era in the 21st century, even his industry, was lost, compared to him who was already suffering from a terminal illness and would definitely not survive. That was still a profit. The money is gone, you can make it again. Azu, it's okay. After Azu took the mirror back, Li Yufeng and Azu walked in again. Peter, your dad just heard that you woke up. He was very happy. Now he has driven here from the factory. Li Yufeng sat next to the hospital bed again and looked at her son and said excitedly. Mrs. Yang, Dr. Qin just suggested that Mr. Yang should get more sun and exercise so that his atrophied muscles can recover. The female nurse on the side took the medical record and said. Peter, Mommy will help you get up and go out. Li Yufeng and Azu came over and prepared to help Yang Ming up on the hospital bed. Just now, Yang Ming took a closer look at his male star-like face and found that there was indeed muscle atrophy in many places on his body. Yang Ming knew that this was caused by a person in a vegetative state who had not exercised for a long time. If the Yang family hadn't spent a lot of money on nursing care, and the female nurses here often gave him massage care, his body's muscle atrophy might have been even worse. When Li Yufeng and Azu tried to help Yang Ming up, they found it still difficult. Mrs. Yang, I suggest you use a wheelchair to push young Master Yang out. Okay, then use a wheelchair. In the hospital, it is normal for patients to be pushed in wheelchairs until they recover. When the female nurse pushed a wheelchair over, with the help of the female nurse and Azu, Yang Ming sat in the wheelchair. At this time, just after New Year's Day in 1978, the maximum temperature in Xiangjiang during the day remained at 20 degrees Celsius, and the night temperature remained at around 15 degrees Celsius. The temperature is not high during the day, but it is not cold either, because it hadn't rained. Yang Ming was wearing the hospital gown and was pushed out of the ward by his mother Li Yufeng. The sunlight in the courtyard on the first floor of the private hospital was shining, and it was a very warm time. Yang Ming sat in his wheelchair, quietly basking in the sun and feeling this new and different environment. After an hour, Xiangjiang, who hurriedly drove to the private hospital from the Honghu electric fan factory, was quickly brought to the courtyard by a female nurse. When he first saw his son basking in the sun, Xiangjiang ran over excitedly. Peter. Daddy. The father and son hugged each other for a long time before letting go. Newcomers and new books, please support. Chapter 3 Predicting the Future. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiangjiang is in his 40s, but now he looks like he is in his 50s or 60s. He was originally a typical industrialist boss who was usually not good at talking. After his son came back from London, he had a serious car accident and turned into a vegetative state. He seemed to have aged more than 10 years overnight. He and his wife Li Yufeng never thought of giving up their son, and they wanted to cure their son at all costs and let him wake up. Over the past 3 years or so, spending money in private hospitals has been like water. A lot of savings accumulated over the years have been spent on Yang Ming. Now, when he sees his son wake up, Xiangjiang feels that everything is worth it. My child, just be okay. Xiangjiang said excitedly. Yang Ming could feel his deep fatherly love for his son Yang Ming, but Yang Ming had not experienced Xiangjiang's implicit fatherly love in his previous life. You old man, are you unhappy now that your son has woken up? I'm only a little over 40, so I don't look like the old man you said. Seeing that his son finally woke up, Xiangjiang's burden and pressure seemed to disappear a lot, and he looked much better. Azu, while you are watching Peter here, I will go home and make some nutritious meals to give Peter a supplement. Although the hospital and outside restaurants provide food, Li Yufang still wants to go home and prepare delicious and nutritious meals for her son. When Li Yufang left, Yang Jirong stayed with Yang Ming for a while, and then left to see his wife back. Soon, only the maid Azu was left. Azu, how long have I been sleeping? What year and month is it today? What year and month is it? Master, you have been sleeping for more than 3 years. Today is January 7th, 1978, Saturday. January 7th, 1978. Yang Ming learned from the original information of Yang Ming that the time of the car accident was before the Spring Festival of 1975. In other words, he was in a car accident and became a vegetative state and was in a coma for more than 3 years. What Yang Ming didn't expect the most was that it was actually 1978. Azu, is it really 1978? Many people remember this special date and know what it means. Master, I remembered correctly. It happened to be New Year's Day a week ago, and my wife gave me a red envelope. At this time, Yang Ming was not only excited, but also fell into deep thought. In his previous life, his life was exciting enough. He was engaged in import and export trade, internet work, arms smuggling business, and even money laundering business. In addition to these, he has brought and accumulated billions of dollars in wealth. This wealth, however, could not be seen in the light. Before he could spend it all, he took away his body and came to this world. In his previous life, Yang Ming thought that he could achieve this level, especially in this era. When he was studying history at a university in Hong Kong, he was more familiar with modern history, especially the history of economic development in recent decades, the development of the internet, etc. than many people. What does that mean? Yang Ming knew that this meant wealth. Infinite wealth beckoned to him. A young man must not be without money for a day, and a man must not be without power for a day. In his previous life, Yang Ming enjoyed many years of glory and wealth, but much of his wealth was shady. In this life, it is naturally different. Yang Ming believes that with his familiarity and understanding of historical development in the next few decades, especially economic development, he does not believe that he cannot earn more wealth than in his previous life. Moreover, he believes that all his money was earned openly. Master, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me. Seeing that young Master Yang hadn't reacted yet, Azu thought he was suffering from the sequelae of waking up from a vegetative state, so he hurriedly woke Yang Ming out of fear. Azu, I'm sorry, something just occurred to me. Master, it's okay. Azu was not familiar with Yang Ming, so she thought that the previous young master was like that. At this time, Yang Ming saw several elderly people in front of him sitting in wheelchairs basking in the sun and reading newspapers. He asked Zhu to push him over. Now, except for the specific year and date that Yang Ming got from Zhu, the other information is actually not very clear. Yang Ming knew that he should be able to learn a lot of new things from the newspapers. Hello, old gentleman, can I read your newspaper? That when Yang Ming borrowed a newspaper from an old man to read, the old man glanced at Yang Ming and said, "Take it." "Thank you, old sir." Yang Ming picked up the newspaper and read it. This is the famous local newspaper Oriental Daily in Xiangjiang. At first, Yang Ming did not read the date displayed on Oriental Daily, but just read the newspaper, mainly reports local news. In addition, the most popular thing about Oriental Daily is that it hired famous experts to write about the dog and horse scriptures. Most of the reports on it now are about this news. Yang Ming himself is not interested in dog racing or horse racing. In his previous life, he spent several years studying history in Hong Kong. However, he rarely went to Sha Tin Racecourse or Happy Valley to watch horse racing. When Yang Ming was reading newspapers and periodicals there, when I finished reading it quickly, it suddenly seemed like it was frozen in place. The date shown above is actually Sunday, January 8, 1978. November 29, Zhengu Day of Gui Chou month. The following shows the lunar time. Yang Ming clearly remembered what the maid Azu said just now. Today is January 7, 1978, Saturday. Could it be that the date of this newspaper is wrong? Obviously today has not passed yet. How could tomorrow's newspapers be distributed in advance? Old gentleman, will this newspaper be published tomorrow? Yang Ming looked at the old gentleman and asked. The old man didn't answer yet, but the old man next to him smiled. Boy, aren't you stupid? You haven't passed today yet. Tomorrow's newspapers will be distributed at 2 or 3 o'clock tonight at the earliest. The printing company will print them and the newspaper deliverman can deliver them to your home. When the old man said it, Yang Ming felt the same. If a newspaper is to be released tomorrow, it will indeed be printed tonight at the earliest and delivered to major newspapers and even readers the next morning. Yang Ming looked at the date displayed above again. He was not wrong. It's obviously still January 8, 1978, when Yang Ming decided to read the content of a newspaper again. Yang Ming finally saw it clearly. The big report here is actually the result of tomorrow's Happy Valley horse race. Old sir, when did the horse racing begin in Happy Valley? But when those people looked at him like idiots again, Azu said hurriedly, I'm sorry, my young master has been studying abroad these years, so I don't know very well. Boy, horse racing at Happy Valley in Hong Kong is usually held on Saturday and Sunday afternoons, and on Wednesday evenings. Even children know about such a simple thing, but you don't know, horse racing on Saturday and Sunday afternoon? Could it be that? When he looked through the newspaper content displayed on Oriental Daily again, not surprisingly, it does say race day on it. In fact, these are shown on the calendar in Hong Kong and in major newspapers and periodicals to remind the citizens of Hong Kong. After all, horse racing is like a part of life in Hong Kong and has always been a very large group, even though the population is now only over 4 million. More than half of the population is interested in horse racing. Please collect. Please invest. Chapter 4: A real man cannot live without money for a day. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yang Ming looked through it carefully, and he was sure that he had read it correctly. When he asked Azu to look at the date on it, it showed today, January 7, 1978. If I read it correctly, Yang Ming knew that now he had something different than ordinary people. For example, now he can actually see the results of tomorrow's horse racing in advance. And what does this mean? Money. It was as if the huge amounts of money were placed in front of him. A real man cannot live without money for a day. When Yang Ming was thinking about how to get his first pot of gold in the world, Yang Ming knew that that pot of gold was coming soon, right? What Yang Ming didn't expect was that in addition to the results of tomorrow's horse racing shown in the newspaper, he also found from several other newspapers that the date he saw was still today. What does that mean? Yang Ming knew that now he was not just a blessing in disguise. When Duo Shi came to this world, he had to start all over again. However, in addition to carrying the information of the next few decades, he could now accurately know the news of tomorrow in advance. In fact, in his opinion, this was foreseeable in advance. If the horse racing ends tomorrow and the results come out then, we will know. Yang Ming was reading the newspapers there, until the old people were pushed away in wheelchairs by their family members. And when Yang Ming gave the newspapers back to the old man smiled and said, Boy, the newspapers are not valuable, so I'll give them to you. Yang Ming was still sitting in the wheelchair, looking at the sun that was about to set. Master, let's go back too. The sun is going to set, the temperature outside will naturally start to drop, and the wind will increase. Go back. Azu pushed Yang Ming in the wheelchair back to his separate ward. When Yang Ming was lying on the hospital bed supported by Azu and the female nurse began to massage his muscles all over his body as usual. Yang Ming guessed that in his previous life, he was in a car accident more than 3 years ago and was lying here. If his family hadn't been rich and had a female nurse take care of him and massage his muscles every day, he was afraid that his muscles might have atrophied even more seriously. In addition, because vegetative people can only rely on nutrient solution infusion, since they cannot chew and swallow, they basically rely on gastrointestinal tubes to feed them liquid food to obtain nutrition. Although it is mainly soup, the nutrition is definitely not as good as that of normal people eating meat. Yang Ming naturally lost a lot of weight. The female nurse is there to concentrate on care and massage. At this time, Yang Ming saw his father Xiangjiang and mother Li Yufang coming again. After the couple returned, they first called their relatives and friends to tell their son that Yang Ming had woken up. Then the couple went to the vegetable market to buy cooked food and fresh meat and vegetables and prepared them for delivery. In addition to the meals for Yang Ming, the meals for the maid Azu were also delivered. Mr. Yang, Mrs. Yang. The female nurse got up and greeted Yang Jirong and his wife. After Yang Jirong and Li Yufang responded, Yang Ming remembered that Li Yufang hurriedly said, Peter, let the nurse finish taking care of you first. When the female nurse gave Yang Ming a full-body muscle massage to relax and went outside, Li Yufang took out the liquid soup she had brought. "Peter, mother will feed you soup first." Yang Ming was a little embarrassed to see his father Yang Jirong here. When Li Yufang took a spoon and fed Yang Ming one bite at a time, Yang Ming found that his appetite was very good now. Maybe it was because his body had not been able to eat normally in this way for too long. Normally, the main method is to infuse nutritional fluids, and in addition to feeding liquid food through a gastric tube. Under such circumstances, how could this body not lose weight? "Daddy, I want to ask you something about the company." Yang Ming knew that his father's company was called Honghu Electric Fan Company. He didn't know much about the specific situation. "You say. Daddy, how much is our company's annual income and annual profit?" These. Now except for the couple and the maid Azu, there are no other outsiders. Our company's annual income last year has not yet been fully calculated, and some accounts have not been recovered. However, judging from all the current accounts, last year's annual income was about 4 million Hong Kong dollars, and the profit was about 400,000 Hong Kong dollars. Annual income of 4 million Hong Kong dollars. Annual profit is only 400,000 Hong Kong dollars. The calculated profit is about 10%, which is naturally not low in terms of industry. However, compared with the arms business, even the smuggling business, and the money laundering business that Yang Ming ran in his previous life, this profit was too low. "Daddy, how many people do we have in our company?" "More than 20 people. More than 20 people. So after all calculations, the company can only be regarded as a small company. The company doesn't have many employees, and it can't afford to support any more. Moreover, the annual income and annual profit are just that. In the late 1970s, your annual income was 4 million Hong Kong dollars. Is that much?" Of course not much. Like many large companies in Hong Kong, their annual income is tens of millions, even hundreds of millions, and even billions are quite a lot. Large companies like Huifeng Bank have annual net profits of more than several hundred million Hong Kong dollars. "Daddy, who do we sell our company's electric fans to?" "Mainly sold to companies in Europe, with a small amount sold to companies in Southeast Asia. We get orders first and then produce them. Xiangjiang has a population of over 4 million, which is not much. However, there are many companies producing electric fans in Xiangjiang. Competitors include companies from Japan, Taiwan, and even Europe and the United States. Yang Jirong always gets orders from Europe first, and only then can he produce electric fans after getting deposits, and then the rest is also orders from Nanyang. No matter how much more is produced, in addition to not being able to sell it, there won't be that many people in the factory, for a truly major electrical appliance company. Yang's Honghu Electric Fan Company can only be regarded as a small workshop. Although the quality meets European production standards in all aspects, compared with large-scale production companies, the manufacturing aspect is indeed inferior. Yang Ming has not been to Honghu Electric Fans yet, but in his previous life, he had been to countries in South Asia, such as ASEAN, because of the arms business. Until the 21st century, they produced and exported electric fans to Europe. It is still a small workshop model. The production quality of their electric fans is good, so they are still available in the European consumer market. The current production method of my father's Honghu Electric Fan Company is probably almost the same. It is like an ordinary small family workshop or a division of labor assembly line, and it should also be based on a piece-by-piece model. "Peter, when you get better, ask your dad to take you to see him again." Seeing that their son cares about the company, the couple is naturally very happy. No matter what he says, this company will be left to his son from now on. At the beginning, they asked their son to study in London, hoping that his son could learn the advanced management model there and come back to take over the family business in the future. Now Yang Ming is not very interested in the Yang family's electric fan company. The main reason is that the scale is too small and the profits are low. Do you want to imitate Lu, who made a fortune in electric fans in his previous life? There is a manuscript saved. Feel free to collect. Invest with confidence. Chapter 5 Betting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yang Ming knew that based on his family's situation, he could only be considered an ordinary middle-class person in Xiangjiang, and was not considered very wealthy. If your family has sufficient funds, you can certainly borrow it from your parents as your first pot of gold. Now I learned from my father that the annual profit last year was only 400,000 Hong Kong dollars. If it was before, it would be even less. Even those profits cannot be fully used, and some are reserved as the company's working capital. Also, Yang Ming's predecessor had been lying in this private hospital for more than 3 years, spending money like water. He probably also spent a lot of savings. It would be difficult for his parents to give him more money to start a business. Yang Ming thought about what he read in the newspaper in the afternoon about the results of tomorrow's horse racing. Wasn't his first pot of gold coming? It can be learned from the newspaper that tomorrow at 12:15 noon, the first horse race will be officially held at Hong Kong Happy Valley. In other words, if you place a bet before the horse race, you may win a grand prize. Peter, Daddy has something else to do. Let's go to the electric fan company first. Xiangjiang is very busy, although there are only more than 20 people in the factory. If you catch up with the order period, you have to work day and night to export the goods to Europe on time. Otherwise, if there is another order next time, I am afraid that others will not come to you again. Xiangjiang also left first. Azu, help me get that newspaper. When the maid Azu went over and brought the newspaper to Yang Ming to read, Yang Ming still saw clearly that the horse racing report was actually reporting on tomorrow's horse racing results. Yang Ming looked at the current prize money in the Jockey Club prize pool, which has accumulated up to 18 million Hong Kong dollars. If he wins all the prizes, he can get all the 18 million prize money in this prize pool at once. Even if you have to pay part of the personal income tax, it will still be at least 15 million Hong Kong dollars. For Yang Ming, with 15 million Hong Kong dollars, wouldn't his first pot of gold come? Peter, don't you go to bed early? Li Yufang, the mother next to her, asked distressedly. Mom, I want a few $100s in cash. A few $100s in cash. Li Yufang didn't ask her son what he wanted the money for. She took out the cash from her ordinary bag. Peter, take it. Li Yufang directly handed Yang Ming 1,000 Hong Kong dollars. Thank you, Mommy. That night at 11:30, when Xiangjiang came to visit his son at the Honghu electric fan factory again, Yang Ming saw his mother sitting beside him and persuaded him, Mommy, you don't have to stay up late anymore. You should go back to rest with Daddy. This place is managed by Azu and the female nurse can just watch. Peter, Mommy is okay. For more than 3 years, Li Yufang has been watching here almost every night. The private ward in this private hospital has everything. It is a 1-bedroom 1 living room. In addition to the hospital bed for the patient, there is also a bed for family members to sleep next to it. For more than 3 years, Li Yufang and the maid Azu basically took turns taking care of the unconscious Yang Ming. Of course, there is actually a female nurse taking care of her 24 hours a day, but Li Yufang is worried, looking at his mother who looked haggard and her eyes were red and even bloodshot. Yang Ming still advised her and her father to go back and have a good rest and come. See him again tomorrow. Li Yufang was pulled away by her husband Xiangjiang. When Xiangjiang and his wife left, Yang Ming was lying there, and he had already prepared his own money-making plan. Let's go outside to place bets tomorrow and earn his first pot of gold first. I don't know when I fell asleep. When Yang Ming woke up, some sunlight shone in except the window. When Yang Ming felt that someone was looking at him, Yang Ming suddenly woke up, looking on from the side. It was the maid Azu. Master, you're awake. Azu, what time is it? 9:30 in the morning. So late. At this time, there are less than 3 hours left before the first horse race in Happy Valley today. Yang Ming got up in a hurry, and Azu washed his face. Azu, help me to the wheelchair and change a set of clothes for me. Azu thought the young master was going to the yard to bask in the sun, when Azu helped Yang Ming into a wheelchair and carefully pushed him out of the hospital ward. Azu, push me to the back door of the hospital and get out. Master, where are you going? Azu was still very strange and worried. When she saw the young master's look, Azu could only go to the back door of the hospital. There was a taxi parked outside. A taxi driver was reading a newspaper with his feet crossed and waiting for passengers. Yang Ming asked Zhu to drive the taxi driver over. The taxi driver first helped Yang Ming get into the back seat, and then folded the wheelchair and put it on the rear frame. Sir, where are you going? Driver, go to the nearest horse racing betting place. The driver was a little surprised that this young man was still in the mood to bet on horse racing despite being like this. It doesn't look like he was beaten up like this by someone when he placed a bet, right? When the taxi driver drove to a nearby business hall where he could place bets, Yang Ming didn't look at the fare and said directly, "Wait for me here, we will come out in a while." "Sir, no problem." When the folded wheelchair was taken out from the rear frame, Yang Ming was supported by the maid Azu and the taxi driver to get into the wheelchair, and Azu pushed him inside. This is a jockey club business hall near Causeway Bay, and many people have come here at this time. These people did not stay at home or go to Happy Valley, but came directly to the business hall to place bets. They can place their bets directly on the phone, or they can go to the front business hall and let the staff help them place their bets. Yang Ming took out 200 yuan in cash and placed a bet of 2 yuan, that is, buying 100 horse betting bets, after Yang Ming and the staff repeatedly confirmed that the number he bought was okay. Yang Ming asked Azu to push him away. "Here, you can actually watch horse racing on the TV screen here. However, there are too many people here and it is noisy." Yang Ming is afraid of leaving for too long, so he still has to go back to the hospital first. "Sir, is it okay?" the taxi driver asked. "That's it." The taxi driver was naturally a little disdainful. "Do you want to win a big prize like this? Then he doesn't have to drive a taxi." After Yang Ming was helped to the back seat, his wheelchair was folded and placed on the rear frame, and he went to the private hospital, probably about half an hour. When the taxi stopped, Yang Ming and Azu got out of the car, handed the taxi driver the fare, and asked Azu to push him inside. "Peter, where have you been?" That it was rare for Li Yufang to take a good rest. Unexpectedly, when she woke up at around 7 o'clock in the morning, she hurriedly bought meat and vegetables and came back to make soup for him. When she and her husband came to the hospital around 10 o'clock, she did not see her son. She was shocked. "Jump. Mommy, I just asked Zhu to push me to Ma Kai's business hall." "Ma Kai business hall? Peter, did you go buy horse racing lottery tickets?" Li Yufang remembered that her son asked her for money last night, but she didn't take it seriously. "Mommy, as Daddy said, if you survive a disaster, you will be lucky. I will definitely win the big prize this time." Li Yufang didn't ask any more questions and breathed a sigh of relief when her son came back okay. "After sitting my son down, I started to slowly feed him bone broth from a thermos box. Please collect the new book." Chapter 6: The First Pot of Gold. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time passed by minute, when Yang Ming finished his soup and lunch. The time had reached 12 noon, and there were 15 minutes left before the first horse race in Happy Valley today. At this time, before the game, tens of thousands of Xiangjiang citizens, spectators, tourists, and even gamblers poured in at the Happy Valley racecourse. After entering the racecourse, they placed their bets immediately, or wait for the upcoming first race. Dozens and millions of Xiangjiang citizens who cannot go to the racecourse due to work and other reasons can only wait for the upcoming horse racing competition through live broadcast on TV or radio. "Azu, go turn on Li's Chinese channel. I want to watch the live broadcast of today's horse racing." Azu hurriedly turned on the TV. Mother Li Yufang looked at her son Yang Ming dotingly. She originally thought that her son just wanted to try his luck, but she never thought that he was really paying so much attention to him. "Peter, it doesn't matter if you win or not, just think of it as charity and good deeds to accumulate virtue." The main reason why Li Yufang is not averse to buying horse racing lottery tickets is because the Jockey Club has been deeply rooted in the hearts of the people in Hong Kong. Basically, more than half of the citizens of Xiangjiang are involved. Moreover, in Li Yufang's view, even if her son spent several hundred yuan on horse racing but failed to win, the money would definitely be used by the Jockey Club for charity or to pay taxes to the governor's mansion. She thinks it's okay for her son to buy it occasionally, as long as he can't become addicted. At this time, Li's Chinese channel under Li's TV station had been turned on, and the camera on the TV appeared at the Happy Valley racecourse in Hong Kong. The enthusiastic male host began to explain excitedly. TV viewers, today's first game is about to begin. I wish the viewers in front of the TV good luck. Soon, the game begins. Yang Ming, Azu, and Li Yufang looked at the live broadcast of the horse racing competition on the TV. Although watching horse racing live is more exciting, you can also feel the atmosphere brought by horse racing in front of the TV at this time. In just 3 minutes on the racecourse, 13 white knights rode their horses, fighting for it, and no one seemed to know the outcome until the last moment. Soon, the first game was over, when the final order of the horse racing results came out. Li Yufang hurriedly asked, "How's it going, Peter?" "Mom, as expected, I won all the first games." In fact, you just make bets and purchases based on the rankings you see in advance." Yang Ming saw the results of the game in advance yesterday afternoon. How could he not have scored all the goals? Li Yufang still couldn't believe it, when she saw the numbers displayed on the horse lottery that Yang Mingdi gave her. When Li Yufang checked the numbers one by one, she found that she had really hit them all. "I really hit it all. However, this is only the first competition. Even if everyone guesses correctly, there will not be much money." Soon, it started again in the second game. Yang Ming looked calm. Just now, he only had to check whether the names of the knights and horse racing horses he saw in the newspaper yesterday really appeared, and he would know whether he was right. If nothing unexpected happens, definitely another hit. The second race started soon, and there were still 13 horses competing for each other under the charge of the knights. In just a few seconds, the rankings changed very quickly. It can even be said to be an instant matter. In less than 3 minutes, the game was completely over. The final rankings of the second horse racing results have all been displayed on the TV screen. "Peter, how's it going?" "Mommy, see for yourself." When Li Yufang carefully looked at the numbers displayed on the second game on the horse lottery tickets, she carefully checked the numbers on them and found that they were indeed exactly the same. "In this second horse racing competition, I actually won again. If nothing else happens, if all the first 4 games or the next 4 games are successful, then you can get the grand prize of this horse racing competition. This grand prize is related to the Jockey Club's prize pool. The higher the prize pool of the Jockey Club, the higher the grand prize, and the higher the odds Yang Ming will buy." Li Yufang was indeed very excited. Yang Ming calmly comforted his mother and said, "Mommy, there are still 6 games to come. The horse racing time in Xiangjiang is fixed. Basically, it lasts half an hour. Among them, before the game, knights and horses will make a circle around the racecourse to allow the audience, especially gamblers, to see the status of the knights and horses before placing bets. Basically, you can place bets as long as the game is over. There are even many outsiders who like to use this to make gamblers place crazy bets. The first game starts at 12:15 noon, the second game starts at 12:45, the third game starts at 13:15, and so on. At the end of the third game, Yang Ming didn't even have to watch the results live on TV. He knew that there would be nothing wrong. Li Yufang looked at the number carefully, hugged Yang Ming excitedly and said, "Peter, I really won again." On to the fourth game. The game starts at 13:45. When the game started, Li Yufang and Azu stared at the TV. The male host was still explaining in a passionate and excited tone. Li Yufang waited there nervously for the results. Still less than 3 minutes later, the result of the game came out. Li Yufang carefully looked at the rankings displayed on the TV and compared them one by one with the numbers displayed on the horse lottery. "Peter, you really bought it all." At this time, Li Yufang didn't know if she was too excited or something. Although she still doesn't know how much her son's horse racing jackpot was worth this time. Looking at the situation, she is afraid that he must have won the jackpot. It may even be that the couple has worked hard for so many years to accumulate wealth. "Not as much as my son earned this time. Mommy, I really hit it all." As for the remaining 4 games, they may be of some use to other gamblers, but they are of no use to Yang Ming, because he had won all the previous 4 games. As expected, the grand prize this time must have been won by him alone, and he also bought 200 bets at once. Although Yang Ming doesn't know the odds of one bet, the reward pool must be more than 18 million yuan. At 14:15, the 5th race begins at Happy Valley Racecourse in Hong Kong. At 14:45, the 6th race begins at Happy Valley Racecourse in Hong Kong. At 15:15, the 7th race begins at Happy Valley Racecourse in Hong Kong. At 15:45, the 8th race begins at Happy Valley Racecourse in Hong Kong. Then at 16:15, the Hong Kong Jockey Club held today's grand event, which ended at about 17:00. Yang Ming watched the first 4 games and stopped paying attention. Li Yufang thought her son was joking with her, but unexpectedly, she actually won the grand prize. At the beginning of the 7th horse race, Li Yufang was about to leave the private hospital and go home to cook dinner for Yang Ming. Yang Ming already had his plan. Please collect. Chapter 7 Discharge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Now Yang Ming has been in a coma for more than 3 years because of his previous body, which has caused slight muscle atrophy in his body, and because he has not exercised for a long time, he is still unable to walk normally like an ordinary person. Follow the advice of your attending doctor, gradually return to a normal diet, get more sun exposure, massage atrophic muscles more, and then exercise, and your body will recover. As a profitable private hospital, Yang Ming has always been one of the hospital's cash cows, and it is not recommended that he be discharged from hospital so soon. Yang Ming really didn't want to stay in the hospital anymore, except for the unpleasant smell of disinfectant mixed with Western medicine that made him feel uncomfortable. Also, Yang Ming plans to continue making a lot of money, and it is impossible to stay here. Last night, Yang Ming had already made plans and had to be discharged from the hospital today. Mommy, I want to go home from the hospital. Going home from hospital? Peter, how can this be done? You haven't fully recovered yet. Li Yufang said with a worried look on her face as she was about to go home. Mommy, I don't want to stay here any longer. The smell of the hospital is too bad. Besides, I'm almost fully recovered now. I'm afraid it will take a long time to fully recover. After listening to this, Li Yufang thought about it and felt the same. Peter, why don't we wait for your dad to come over and ask Dr. Qin for his advice? If he thinks it's okay, we will go through the discharge procedures. When Xiangjiang came over, he first learned that his son had won a big prize in the horse racing lottery. Before he could get excited, he was also surprised to learn that his son actually offered to be discharged from the hospital. Daddy, I must be discharged from the hospital today. Yang Mingdu said that, and Yang Jirong and Li Yufang had no choice but to go to the office and ask the attending doctor. At first, when Dr. Qin learned that Yang Ming was determined to be discharged from the hospital, he was naturally unwilling. In addition to Yang Ming being the hospital's cash cow, it was also a commission from his income. However, now that the patients themselves were saying that, he could only say, Mr. Yang, young madam, if Yang Xiangjiang insists on being discharged from the hospital, neither I nor the hospital will be responsible for anything that happens in the future or for any sequelae. When Yang Jirong got the consent form for discharge procedures from Dr. Qin, he went to handle the discharge procedures for Yang Ming. Zhu started to pack things in the ward. Yang Jirong bought a new wheelchair for Yang Ming directly from the hospital. Yang Ming put on his usual casual clothes and a coat, got into the wheelchair, left here, and went down to the parking lot. After being supported by his father and put into the back seat, his mother Li Yufang and Zhu were by his side. Yang Jirong folded the new wheelchair and drove away from here to the Jia Garden community near Hannington Road. Along the way, Yang Ming looked outside. In the morning, he and Zhu secretly came out of the hospital and saw that the streets of Xiangjiang in the late 1970s were already very prosperous. Now look all the way outside. It has to be said that in the late 1970s, Hong Kong was indeed the Pearl of the Orient and the Pearl of Asia. The prosperous Victoria Harbour of Hong Kong was like a major domestic city in the 21st century. Almost half an hour, Yang Jirong drove into Jia Garden community. 10 years ago, in the late 1960s, when housing prices in Xiangjiang plummeted, Yang Jirong and his wife spent hundreds of thousands of Hong Kong dollars to buy a luxury home in Jia Garden community here. At this time, housing prices have soared 20 to 30 times compared to the previous year. Come to the elevator entrance. Yang Jirong got out of the car first, took down the wheelchair, carefully helped his son get out of the car, and then let Li Yufang, as Huxian and Yang Ming go upstairs. He would pick up the remaining items, take the elevator up to the 6th floor. When Li Yufang opened the door, Yang Ming saw this typical hollow duplex building. The first floor is the living room and dining room, and then there is a spiral staircase to the 2nd floor. The 2nd floor is a hollow railing. the first floor is 120 square meters and the second floor is 80 square meters. For a family of 3 and a servant, such a house would actually be very comfortable to live in. However, Yang Ming knew that his parents' duplex mansion was still far behind the mansions in his previous life. Mainly these are the decoration styles that were popular in the 1960s. Now they look a bit old-fashioned. In addition, for the large villa that he lived in the past, which was over 1,000 square meters, it was really not very big. Peter, your room is on the second floor. It's inconvenient for you to go up and down the stairs now, so why not stay in the guest room on the first floor first? Now there is a guest room, a kitchen, and a nanny's room on the first floor. The rest is the living room and dining room and a large balcony with floor-to-ceiling windows, and then a spiral staircase to the second floor. On the second floor are 2 guest rooms and a master room. The master room is usually occupied by Xiangjiang and his wife, and the guest room is Yang Ming's usual room in Xiangjiang. However, when Yang Ming is studying abroad, he always lives in the school and rarely returns to his own room. Yang Ming has planned to change his house. It is really inconvenient to go up and down the stairs now, so he will follow his parents' wishes and live in the guest room on the first floor. Next to it is Aju's servant room. If anything happens, Aju can do it. Take care of him at all times. When Azu and Li Yufang entered the guest room to clean up for Yang Ming sat there and watched. Naturally, Yang Jirong didn't know that his son was unfamiliar with this place. Peter, just now did your mother say you won the grand prize? Yang Jirong asked curiously as he sat down on the sofa. Daddy, if nothing else happens, it should be more than 10 million. More than 10 million Hong Kong dollars. Yang Jirong was indeed surprised. After all, the annual profit of his electric fan company was only a few $100,000 Hong Kong dollars in the previous year, and the highest last year was only 400,000 Hong Kong dollars. I am afraid that after more than 20 years of hard work, I may not be able to earn as much as my son. It seems that those who survive a catastrophe are bound to have good fortune in the future. Yang Jirong sighed again. Peter, what are your plans? Are you going to continue studying in London or stay in Hong Kong? Daddy, I have thought about it clearly. I want to make a lot of money so that you and Mommy can enjoy it without having to work so hard. As for my first pot of gold and entrepreneurial capital, it is the money from the lottery. That's fine. You've grown up too. You should think carefully about it. As for you letting me and your mother enjoy it, we are working hard and I'm afraid we won't be able to stop for the time being. When he heard that his son wanted to start a business, Yang Jirong naturally supported him. The most important thing is that now his son actually started his own business by winning the jackpot instead of taking money directly from him. At this point, Yang Jirong is still very pleased with his son's actions. Yang Jirong and his wife are the kind of industrial bosses of the older generation who believe that it is impossible to stop and take a rest. As long as their son fully recovers, they will feel relieved. Yang Ming and his father Yang Jirong chatted there for another half hour. In the guest room, Li Yufang and Azu had already packed up and were pushing Yang Ming into the guest room. In fact, why Yang Ming didn't want to go upstairs to the room where Yang Ming originally lived. He was still a little repelled in his heart. This guest room is different now. It has been tidied up by Li Yufang and Azu and is very clean. Please collect. Chapter 8 Predicting Stock Market News. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiahe Garden Community is located in the central area. Now Yang Ming is sitting in a wheelchair. Through the window, he can see the uneven buildings outside. Peter, Azu and I went shopping for groceries and came back. Let's celebrate you tonight. Li Yufang came over and said. Mommy, help me buy some newspapers from the newspaper stop. Li Yufang wrote it down, picked up the vegetable basket and went shopping with Zhu. Yang Ming sat quietly in a wheelchair in front of the window and looked outside. More than an hour later, Li Yufang and Azu are back. Because Yang Ming did not specify which newspaper to buy, there are hundreds of newspapers and periodicals in Xiangjiang, large and small. In addition, there are also foreign language editions and other foreign newspapers and periodicals. Now Li Yufang and Azu bought him dozens of newspapers and periodicals. Master, my wife and I don't know what newspapers you like to read. We will buy all the newspapers recommended by the newspaper owner. Azu, put it here. When Azu put those newspapers on the table, Yang Ming started to pick up a newspaper and read it. To Yang Ming's surprise, what he picked up and read now was the financial supplement of another well-known newspaper in Hong Kong, Sing Tao Daily. When Yang Ming saw that they all introduced the rise and fall of the Xiangjiang stock market, Yang Ming took a closer look. He was not wrong. This is actually the rise and fall of the major listed companies on the 4 major exchanges of the Hong Kong stock market on January 9, 1978. Yang Ming knew that in the 1970s, Xiangjiang was already the 3rd largest financial city in the world, and the Xiangjiang stock market was developing well. On current Hong Kong stock market trading days, the average daily transaction is actually just around 100 million Hong Kong dollars. It doesn't seem like much. This was basically the case in the late 1970s, especially when there was no bull market. The average daily transactions were not many. Even in the future, the domestic Shanghai Stock Exchange, Pengcheng Exchange, and the bull market stock market trading peak period, the daily average exceeded 1 compared with the trillions of transactions. It is indeed much worse. When Yang Ming saw the stocks above falling and rising, he became more and more excited. After all, like the Hong Kong Jockey Club horse racing, although there will be horse racing on Wednesday nights, Saturday and Sunday afternoons, you can also place bets. After Yang Ming wiped out the prize pool this time, he will try to win the big prize next time. I'm afraid it will take a long time to accumulate. At the Xiangjiang Jockey Club, even if he could predict the next lottery numbers in advance, he was no longer interested. How could he not be excited when he sees the rise and fall of these stocks now and tomorrow? In his previous life, he was a graduate student at a university in Xiangjiang. He had done research on the global economy in recent decades, especially the stock market, and knew which period was a bull market or a bear market. This can only give a rough idea of the stage. If you ask him to tell which stock rose or fell on a specific day, he will naturally not know. It's different now. He has information to predict the future in advance. Now he can see the rise or fall of tomorrow's stock market in advance through newspapers and periodicals. Isn't this equivalent to giving him money? Even now, the average daily trading volume in Hong Kong stock market is about 100 million Hong Kong dollars. Under normal circumstances, if Yang Ming makes money through the stock market, he will still have 100% profit, or even more. Yang Ming looked at these newspapers and periodicals carefully, and then read the financial reports in other newspapers and periodicals. Yang Ming found that it was really like that. The stocks listed on the 4 major stock exchanges in Hong Kong are basically the ones that attract the attention of Hong Kong stockholders and even global stock investors, and there are now reports on their rise and fall. Yang Ming thought as he watched excitedly, since the stocks of the 4 major exchanges in Hong Kong can be seen, doesn't it mean that he can also see the stocks of other exchanges around the world in advance? When Yang Ming read other stock market reports around the world, soon, Yang Ming noticed that he could see stocks in the New York Stock Exchange, Tokyo Stock Exchange, and even the London Stock Exchange in advance. According to the relationship between date and time difference, Yang Ming must enter the stock market trading in Xiangjiang first. Yang Ming became more and more excited as he watched. Originally, he was a little sad because he had been struggling for more than 20 years in his previous life and could not enjoy the billions of wealth he had accumulated. Who would have thought that now that he was in the late 1970s, God seemed to make him different from before? He can make a lot of money just by using information that can predict the future in advance. Peter, it's time to eat. Li Yufang came in from outside and said, Mom, so fast. It's already past 6 o'clock in the evening. Yang Ming didn't expect that time would fly by so fast while he was reading the newspaper and thinking about planning his business. Li Yufang pushed Yang Ming out. The maid Azu brought a basin of warm water, washed Yang Ming's face first, then washed his hands, and pushed it to the side of the restaurant. Now Yang Ming, Xiangjiang, and Li Yufang, a family of 3, sit down to enjoy the rich dinner that Li Yufang and Azu have just prepared themselves. Tonight's dinner was very rich. There are plain-cut chicken, Xiangjiang roasted goose, braised pork with pickled vegetables, etc., a table full of dishes. Come, have a drink to celebrate Pete's discharge. Xiangjiang picked up the wine glass, drank a glass of white wine and said, Mommy also celebrates Pete's big win. Li Yufang usually doesn't drink. Today is a double blessing. First she won the jackpot and then she was discharged from the hospital. She also drank a glass of liquor. Seeing his parents' deep love, Yang Ming was a little moved. Yang Ming knew that the servants at home usually did not eat at the table with their masters. Azu stood by and watched, seeming to be used to it, although Yang Jirong and his wife have good tempers and are not as harsh to Aizhu, a maid from Nanyang, as others. Aizhu also understands that rules are rules, and she had been trained in this regard before coming to Xiangjiang. Training, Yang Ming had this rich dinner with his parents here, and he was very happy. He felt even happier when he thought that he could collect the grand prize tomorrow and even continue to make a lot of money. Daddy, Mommy, I will go to the jockey club tomorrow to receive the grand prize, and I want to go with you. Then Daddy will accompany you tomorrow morning. Yang Jirong said with a smile. Yang Ming had enough to eat and drink. When he returned to the room, Zhu brought him another glass of water. Yang Ming was still studying the newspapers there and writing them down with paper and pen, until about 10 o'clock in the evening. Master, it's very late. Zhu will help you wash your hair and wipe your body. In the past, in private hospitals, female nurses basically helped. Of course, Li Yufang and Azu also helped. Although the weather in Xiangjiang is not very hot now, it will still be sticky and uncomfortable if you don't take a shower. What's more, Yang Ming's body is recovering now, and the dead skin is starting to fall off, so he needs to wash it off. When Yang Ming came to the bathroom on the first floor, Aizhu helped him wash his hair and change his clothes. It must be said that Aizhu, the maid, was very attentive. After Yang Ming finished washing and changed into a fresh set of clothes, he returned to the guest room. It was already past 11 o'clock in the evening. Please collect it. Chapter 9 Redeem the Prize. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Early the next day, when Yang Ming got up, washed his face and body with Azu's help, changed out of his pajamas, and put on pure white pants and a fashionable western jacket, it made Azu feel that Master Yang was really handsome. Even though Yang Ming is now in a wheelchair, Zhu feels that the gentle and elegant young master is really better looking than most men in Xiangjiang. Yang Ming was pushed out in a wheelchair by Zhu. Yang Jirong, who was drinking tea and reading a newspaper in the living room, saw his son's outfit and had to say, it looked really good. It seems that his skin is a bit dark originally, but his wife Li Yufang's skin is very good. If it were not for worrying about her son, she would look much older in the past 3 years. Li Yufang's skin is fairer and more delicate than that of many female stars. Yang Ming inherited Li Yufang's skin color and most of his facial features, and he looked really good. Good morning, Daddy. Peter, good morning. Yang Ming and Yang Jirong were sitting there drinking tea. Yang Ming didn't even need to read the newspaper today. He already knew a lot of today's news because he had already read it yesterday. When Li Yufang and Azu made breakfast, Li Yufang looked at her son's current outfit and said, my son is still handsome. I don't know how many women he will charm in the future. Mommy, I rely on my talent. Yang Ming smiled, because Yang Ming always feels that his eyes are a bit feminine. Some people may particularly like this kind of eyes, and Yang Ming really doesn't want others to see it, perhaps because of the relationship in his previous life. If he is not familiar with someone he is particularly familiar with, he does not want to be seen in his eyes. Just like many wealthy and high-ranking officials, they all like to wear a pair of glasses. In fact, many of them are not because they are short-sighted or presbyopic, they just don't want others to see what they are thinking. Now Yang Ming has good eyesight and is not short-sighted. When Yang Ming finished his breakfast, he looked at Zhu and asked, Zhu, do I have sunglasses? Master, I'll go upstairs and get it for you. When Azu took a pair of sunglasses from Yang Ming's room upstairs, these were originally the very fashionable blue sunglasses that Yang Ming brought back from London. When worn, they could not only block the sunlight outside, but also prevent others from seeing his eyes. When Yang Ming put on this pair of sunglasses, Yang Jirong and his wife seemed to look at their son a little differently. 8:30 in the morning, Yang Ming, Yang Jirong and Li Yufang came down from upstairs. Now the couple personally accompanied Yang Ming to the Hong Kong Jockey Club building in Happy Valley to receive the grand prize. It took almost half an hour for Yang Jirong to drive to the parking lot of the Hong Kong Jockey Club building. This is where the Hong Kong Jockey Club has its headquarters and offices. when Yang Ming got off the car, Xiangjiang and his wife pushed Yang Ming to the front desk on the first floor. "Hello, how can I help you?" asked a young woman in a black work skirt at the front desk. "Miss, my surname is Yang. We are here to redeem the horse lottery prize." "Mr. Yang, please wait a moment. I'll make a call first." When the young woman picked up the landline at the front desk to make a call, about 10 minutes later, 2 staff members came down from upstairs. "Mr. Yang, hello, I am the director here, and my English name is Thompson." Thompson greeted Xiangjiang, his wife, and Yang Ming respectively, then go up to the dedicated elevator. In the elevator, they already learned that Yang Ming came here to redeem the grand prize from the Happy Valley horse race held yesterday afternoon. "Mr. Yang, congratulations to you, you are so lucky." The 2 Thompsons smiled. Both men are quintessentially British. At this time, in the late 1970s, although there were Chinese staff at places like the Hong Kong Jockey Club, like the young woman at the front desk just now, she was actually a local Chinese, and the management of the Jockey Club were basically all British. People monopolize, get out of the elevator. Thompson and Yang Ming were even more enthusiastic. After inviting the 3 people to the VIP room, in addition to inviting them to drink coffee and taste desserts, the rest was to redeem the horse lottery prize for Yang Ming, including Yang Ming's Xiangjiang ID number and Mackay lottery tickets. After confirming that this was indeed true, Thompson and other staff members became even more enthusiastic. Soon, other staff came over and asked, "Mr. Yang, we have confirmed that you did win our horse racing lottery jackpot yesterday. The prize is 18.8 million Hong Kong dollars. In addition to paying personal income tax, etc., there is also 15.5 million Hong Kong dollars. About Hong Kong dollars. For such a grand prize, the Hong Kong Jockey Club has not appeared for many years. I wonder if you are willing to accept an interview with us and share your experience in purchasing horse racing lottery tickets. Be interviewed. Share." Yang Ming was not very happy. After all, things like this depend on luck. Of course, Yang Ming couldn't tell them that it was because he saw the results of the horse racing in advance, so he was 100% successful. "Sorry, I don't really like interviews. Mr. Yang, it's okay." Since Yang Ming was unwilling to be interviewed, they naturally could not force him. "Almost half an hour or so, the Jockey Club is ready." "Mr. Yang, I don't know how you want to get the money. In cash? Or directly into your account, or prepare a check for you." More than 15 million in cash. At this time, in Xiangjiang, it was really a large amount of money. Taking it out like that would directly attract the attention of the gangsters. As for Yang Ming's bank account, of course he has, but won't offer it. "Hello, write me a check from Huifeng Bank." "Mr. Yang, no problem." Thompson soon did it himself. When the Huifeng Bank check showing 15.5 million Hong Kong dollars appeared in front of Yang Ming, he knew that it was a huge fortune. Now that Yang Ming has gotten the check, what he wants to do is naturally not what Thompson and others care about. Yang Ming did not stay any longer. After all, he will make a lot of money next. When Xiangjiang pushed Yang Ming downstairs and onto the car, Xiangjiang asked, "Peter, where should we go next?" "Daddy, I want to go to Huifeng Bank in Central." Xiangjiang drove away from here. "I drove to the business hall of a large Huifeng Bank branch in Central." Yang Ming and Li Yufang got off the car and entered the business hall. Immediately, the staff of Huifeng Bank in the lobby came over and asked, "Hello, sir, how can I help?" They saw Yang Ming sitting in a wheelchair, but he looked like he was not an ordinary person, so he naturally seemed very enthusiastic. "Hello, I want to see your general manager." When the young woman started to say that the general manager of their bank was very busy, Yang Ming calmly took out the Huifeng Bank check from his body and said, "I have a Huifeng Bank check here for 15.5 million Hong Kong dollars, and I am going to deposit it here." Money. 15.5 million Hong Kong dollars. This is definitely a big customer. The female bank clerk was immediately different from just now. After taking Yang Ming and Li Yufang to the VIP room of the bank, she enthusiastically made a cup of hot coffee for Yang Ming and Li Yufang respectively. Then she stepped on her high heels and ran non-stop to the general manager. "Office knock, please collect." Chapter 10 Opening a Hong Kong Stock Account. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ridman is a typical Anglo-Saxon and is now the general manager of Hui Fong Bank Central Branch. He has just arrived in the company's general manager's office not long ago. There was a knock on the door. What's up? General manager, a very important customer has just arrived. He has a check of 15.5 million from our bank and hopes to deposit the money in Hui Fong Bank. 15.5 million Hong Kong dollars. This is indeed a very important customer of the bank. For banks, deposits are the most important, especially for large customers with deposits of millions or tens of millions. Li Duan got up in a hurry and followed him to the VIP room. I saw a middle-aged woman in the VIP room, and a young man in a wheelchair next to her. Hello, I am Ridwan, the general manager here. Do you want to deposit money in our bank? Ridwan asked Yang Ming in not very fluent Cantonese. Hello, my name is Yang Ming, and this is my mother Li Yufang. I do have some money that I want to deposit in Hui Fong Bank. However, I want to open a new account. Yang Ming took out the check. If Reed looked at it, he would know it was a real check. This check was from the Hong Kong Jockey Club. It was guessed that the young man had just won the jackpot at the Hong Kong Jockey Club. Hui Fong Bank has always been one of the major banks that the Jockey Club cooperates with. Mr. Yang, there is no problem. When Yang Ming took out his ID card, Ridwan called someone over and personally applied for a new account for Yang Ming. Yang Ming knew that this was only the first step in his plan. Mr. Ridwan, I am going to open an account at Huifeng Securities Company to trade stocks. Can you open an account here? Yes, we have staff from Hui Fong Securities branch here. Ridwan called again to fetch the staff from Hui Fong Securities Company. Yang Ming saw a young white woman in her 20s, tall and with blonde hair. Hello, Mr. Yang, my name is Kayla. I am the account manager of the securities company here. Do you want to open an account? Good. Just now, Ridwan had already told Kayla that this young man had just deposited 15.5 million Hong Kong dollars in their bank. This is a very important customer. As for whether Yang Ming uses the money for stock trading or other purposes, that is the client's business. Hui Fong Securities Company was originally one of the largest securities companies in Hong Kong. It was normal for Yang Ming to open an account at Hui Fong Securities Company to trade stocks. Now Hui Fong Bank opened a new account for him first. Yang Ming's 15.5 million Hong Kong dollars were directly deposited into the new bank account after the check was exchanged. This means that Yang Ming is already a multimillionaire in Hong Kong. Then, Miss Kayla personally opened a stock market trading account for Yang Ming in a securities company. This account can be used on the 4 major exchanges in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, the Far East Stock Exchange, the Gold and Silver Stock Exchange, and the Kowloon Stock Exchange. Yang Ming can all access the Hong Kong stock market through the Hui Fong Bank account. Due to historical reasons, there is now not only one exchange in Hong Kong, but 4, and there are now hundreds of listed companies in Hong Kong. However, at this time, Hong Kong stock market trading was not as popular as it was in the 1980s or even the 1990s. Li Yufang was stunned on the side. At first, Li Yufang thought that her son had gotten the check, came to Hui Fong Bank, and deposited the money into the account. Who would have thought that Yang Ming would actually want to trade in stocks now? When it comes to stock trading, Li Yufang knew it in the 1960s. However, she and her husband Xiangjiang have never encountered it, mainly because they feel that making money by stock trading is too unreal, and it feels like winning a lottery. If you are lucky, you can win money, but if you are not lucky, you may even lose your principal. Peter, do you really want to trade stocks? Li Yufang asked from the side. Mommy, yes, I will enter the Xiangjiang stock market soon. The Hong Kong stock market trading time opens at 9:30 a.m. At this time, it was almost 10 o'clock, half an hour after leaving the city. However, Yang Ming was not in a hurry. Peter, this stock trading is too risky. Li Yufang said. Mommy, don't worry, just watch. Li Yufang still couldn't believe it. At this time, Xiangjiang had parked his car outside. He was going to come in and wait for the two of them to do something good. After sending Yang Ming and Li Yufang home, he would go to work at the electric fan factory. who would have expected that as soon as I came in, I would soon learn that Yang Ming was going to enter the stock market. Xiangjiang naturally also knows that stock trading is very risky, and you win less and lose more. Moreover, in this era, bankers like to manipulate the stock market to make money. Xiangjiang is really not familiar with the stock market because he has been engaged in real estate and is not familiar with finance. Xiangjiang became even more curious. Originally, I wanted to go to the Honghu electric fan factory immediately, but now that I saw my son's appearance, I decided to stop here and take a look. Last night, Yang Ming had already told him that he would use the money to start a business. How to start a business specifically? What he was going to do. Yang Ming didn't say anything last night. Unexpectedly, my son now wants to trade in stocks. Xiangjiang felt that after all, his son had drank foreign ink and read more books than him, so maybe it might be different. Kayla personally handled Yang Ming's new stock exchange account during this period, except for some contracts about risk documents that were brought over to Yang Ming for signature. And Yang Ming confirmed that there were no problems, there was nothing else. 10:15 am, Yang Ming's stock exchange account in Xiangjiang has been set up. Yang Ming can directly transfer the money deposited in Huifeng Bank to the trading account of the stock exchange, because the current stock market trading in Xiangjiang is a T+0 transaction like that in Europe and the United States, that is to say, you can buy and sell at any time. There are no restrictions on transactions at all, but frequent transactions will affect customers' related costs. The current trading commission of Huifeng Stock Exchange is about 3,000. If the transaction volume is large, you can negotiate with the company to negotiate a lower commission. When Kayla handed over the account of Huifeng Securities Company to Yang Ming, she said, "Mr. Yang, there is no problem with your account. You can trade at any time during the trading working days. Of course, you can trade with us, or you can call us to do the transaction." In this day and age, computers have long been available, but they are not commonly used and are not very convenient. As for mobile phones, they have not yet appeared. The most convenient thing now is naturally the landline phone, through which you can call relevant personnel. In addition, that is to go to the business hall of a securities company to trade stocks, for example, what stocks you want to buy, how many stocks you want to buy, or when you want to sell stocks, or how many stocks you want to sell. The staff of the securities company will help with the transaction.